Welcome to The Simple Sophisticate, where in 2014, this podcast premiered. And now in its 11th season, the show continues to focus on the same principles it was founded upon: the art of living a life of quality over quantity. Topics range from creating an everyday life you love living, strengthening mindfulness practices, building a capsule wardrobe, preparing seasonally delicious meals, traveling and exploring France and Britain, and living life to the fullest without breaking the bank, because living well really is quite simple. I'm your host, Shannon Ables, and whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, en route, or returning from that dream destination, or sitting down with a hot cuppa or a cafe au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to The Simple Sophisticate. Today's episode 390, is going to focus specifically on skincare that produces radiant skin, but doing so in a way that is result-based and as simple as possible, but no simpler. We're not going to completely streamline. There are going to be investments being made. I'm excited to explore this one. I promised back in spring I'd bring this episode to you, and I will be breaking down and sharing specifically the products that I use for my daily routines, morning and night, for my seasonal routines, for occasional routines, for monthly or weekly. I'm going to break all that down for you and share with you what I've learned with regards to someone who is 45 years old and has taken care of their skin as well as I could afford to and was knowledgeable of how to since I was a teenager. But before I get to sharing all of that, this week's Petit Plaisir is a film that I sincerely enjoyed, and I'm going to walk you through why I enjoyed it, and you might too. Critics didn't necessarily like it, but I also went through a lot of the reviews, and I want to point out some things that while some were accurate, I thought some of them were ignorant, and I will share with you why and encourage you to check it out if what I share with you speaks to you. Okay, so that's the end of today's episode. But first, we need to get to our topic. My skincare routine at 45 for radiant skin that is simplicity and results focused. I just want to begin with a quote to set the tone. And it states, "Healthy skin begins the moment you start to take care of yourself." And as you'll discover through the things I share, some of the things I share, not everything is something you go out and purchase. And now I'm not going to be walking us through the diet, the food we eat, but we know that what we eat definitely can benefit and improve our skin. That's definitely something to pay attention to, ask questions about, speak to a nutritionist about as well. Before I dive right into this, many of you who read the blog, and I've also tuned into this podcast, will know that we've talked about skincare before many times. And I've shared the items and the products that I've used many different times over the years, especially with the top tier members in the monthly ponderings post. Over the last handful of years, I would regularly share an item or product that I was trying. And then I would report back on some of them if I really liked it. And I have gone through and tried a lot of different, for example, retinol serums, retinol creams, different serums, different moisturizers. And as you'll see, if you go back to those posts, which I've included on the show notes, you'll see the ones that keep reappearing because they just continue to be proven to do what I want them to do, what I hope that they will do. And the ones that don't keep reappearing are because I found something that works better. So I'm not going to be sharing the ones I haven't found to be helpful anymore. If you want to go back and look at that list or those lists, you sure can. But I will definitely be talking about the ones that I'm using, recommending, and why I like them. All right, so let's start right with the daily. And this one there's no products here. There's no items here. But here in Bend, we have a lot of sunshine and I walk all the time. Every single day I'm walking, even if it's in the morning, and usually it is in the morning. There's not a lot of sun, but there is a lot of sun that we don't realize hits our skin. So right out of the gate, I am wearing hats and sunglasses, predominantly just hats, but you will rarely see me outside, whether it's in the garden or walking the dogs, without a baseball cap or a big floppy rattan hat for the garden. to protect my face. And of course, I'm wearing sunscreen too, but we'll talk about that in a second. So, and that's it happening even as we're like right now in the fall. I just returned from our walk this morning, and I was wearing my baseball cap. I tend to do that so I don't. So I can see people's eyes and they can see mine when I'm talking to them, because I talk to a lot of different people often when we're walking. But sometimes I'll double up and do both. But always I'm wearing a hat for sure. So that's the first thing that I'm always doing as someone who's outside a lot. But if you're not outside a lot, or you are, either way, hydrating with conscious fluid intake choices. And so this is going to be very obvious, but drinking water regularly throughout the day and not drinking things that dehydrate us or pull away hydration. So limiting alcohol, limiting caffeine, especially coffee, as it is more intense than most teas. So this is something to just be aware of, the liquids that you take in, and how your skin feels. Maybe, take a day or a couple days and do a comparison. Say, for example, you drink a lot of coffee, or maybe you drink wine occasionally. How do you feel the next day with regards to your skin? Our bodies, as we know, speak to us, and that includes our skin. I know that for me, I always have water with me wherever I'm at. I have a water bottle in my car, always full. So whether I'm going to go walking somewhere or I'm heading for errands, I always have water in the car. I have water by my bedside at night. I have water throughout the day if I'm not drinking tea. I do drink a lot of tea, but I don't drink coffee. And well, my dentist will tell you, yep, you drink a lot of tea, but I go in for my regular cleanings. I do know that constantly drinking those two drinks, water and tea, are something that make me feel good. Now, when I drink wine, which is very rarely now, I cook with wine a lot. I mean, it's wonderful flavors for sauces and savory dishes. And as someone who would typically just drink wine 1 or 2 times a week, 1 to 2 glasses each time, I'm even cutting down way on that. Now I primarily just drink wine on special occasions or when I'm traveling to France or Britain to complement the meal. But I don't feel as good afterwards, either immediately or the next day, even if I'm just drink 1 glass, and that's usually all I'm drinking is 1 glass or 2 small glasses. My skin feels dry. My mind, sometimes I'll get a headache. So I'm trying to be really cognizant of how the liquids I drink affect me, and that directly affects our skin. All right, that's the second thing for daily. And the third thing is a humidifier. Now, this may not pertain to everyone depending on the climate you live in. But here in Bend, we are a high desert climate. We are parched. We are parched for water constantly, especially in the winter. Sometimes during the summer, I don't do it as much towards the end of the summer. So going into fall when we have moisture, or spring when we have moisture from the rain. But I definitely in the winter will have my humidifier on every night, and it does make a big difference in the skin that I wake up to in the morning. So those are just 3 little things that they don't take a lot of money, if any money at all. Buy a hat, buy a humidifier, drink a lot of water, get an easy to hold water bottle that you can go take with you everywhere. I think a lot of people do this already. So those are the simple things right out of the gate that I'm doing. And the new one for me has been wearing a hat. The last couple of years, I've been wearing a hat all the time. And that's not something I did through my 30s, and I wish I would have. And one more thing about hats. So if I'm not walking or I'm not in the garden, so those are casual occasions, I now have been having a lot of fun finding Panama hats for the summer. So if you saw me at the market this year and I wasn't coming right out of yoga class, so then in that case, I would just have a baseball cap on. I would have had a Panama hat. So about a 6-inch brim all the way around, straw hat, very cool, but protected my face. And I don't wear sunglasses when I wear my Panama hat when I'm at the market, because again, I want people to see my face, be able to connect with them. And there's glasses, especially an aviator or something that has those reflective glasses, you can't see the eyes. So I will regularly have a Panama hat on in the summertime, and I'm loving the options out there, which is another style quotient. Much like all of the various optical glasses, all the different styles of frames out there that are available. So you can add a touch of personality while also the functionality that you need. All right, so let's move on to those products. The daily morning skincare routine. And again, this is me trying to simplify and also amplify the results. So, what I will do, and I know a lot of different estheticians, skincare experts will say cleanse your skin twice. But there now are various people in the beauty and skincare field that are saying that's excessive and not necessary. So it really depends on who you read. But I think predominantly it comes down to your skin. What does your skin need? And this is where, when you go to the spa, if you have your regular facial, ask your esthetician, what does my skin need? They'll know the environment that you live in because they live there too. And they'll also be able to look at your skin with an expert's eye. So I would ask them, and I'll talk you through a few things my esthetician told me about what type of cleanser to use. So in the morning, I don't do a deep cleanse. I do that at night because I have makeup free. I'm makeup free at night. So I wake up, I do a quick clean with micellar water, which is hydrating as well as cleansing. And specifically, I will share with you that I use Bioderma's micellar water makeup remover. Super gentle on the skin. Doesn't feel like your skin is dry afterwards. Again, it includes water molecules that allow your skin to remain hydrated. You don't want to just do micellar water. You want to then hydrate with moisturizers. We'll talk about in a second. But that's the simplest thing to do, and it works to cleanse the skin enough to begin your day without stripping it. I will also sometimes use just the classic Marseille soap that is all natural. I've talked about it many times here on the podcast as a petit plaisir. If you will see them and you'll know what I'm talking about. They are those olive green cubed soaps, and they're made of at least 72% olive oil, and the rest are all natural ingredients. And I'll just read them off here to you. You have water, glycerin, sodium chloride, and sodium hydroxide, along with the olive oil. So all natural. I use this in my shower instead of body wash. I don't use any fancy body wash. I don't waste the money on it. I just use this olive oil soap from France, and I just buy it from France in bulk, and I have enough for a couple years, and then I'll restock, and they're very, very inexpensive. And I've linked to 3 different sites that you can purchase them on. I've also linked to the Petit Plaisir post that shares all of the reason why this is a cleansing staple in my house for my skincare routine. All right, so that's how I begin the day. And then I dive right in, and only in the morning I apply a serum for hydration. I use Dr. Sturm's Super Anti-Aging Serum. This is the serum that includes hyaluronic acid, which we talked about in a post titled An Investment Worth Making, Smart Skincare My 40s. And I walk through what hyaluronic acid does and why it's important to look for it on your product label. There are different levels of hyaluronic acid. Some just penetrate the surface, some penetrate more deeply. So it's important that you have multiple types of hyaluronic acid. And what it simply is a group of sugar molecules called polysaccharides. And as the Cleveland Clinic explains, quote, these molecules work to cushion and lubricate, and they're found naturally in the body's connective tissues. And so over time, our body's stores of hyaluronic acid will decline. Age is one reason, but environmental factors such as smoking or air pollution also accelerate this process. So we need to bring it back, give it back to the skin. And we can rebuild this storage by simply hydrating with hyaluronic acid. And what it does, it has the ability to retain moisture throughout the day, and it reduces rough, dry, or flaky looking skin that happens as the day unfolds, which is why I use this only in the morning. I don't use hyaluronic acid in this anti-aging serum at night. And it's just a few drops. It lasts about 3 months. And this is where I'm sharing this on the list because I have stepped away from it just to see if there's something less expensive out there that will work just as fine and just as lovely and make my face feel hydrated throughout the day. And I have tried multiple ones, and they just aren't as substantive or have as strong of results. Now, I get this on an auto replenishment, which reduces the price. And it also makes it easy to adjust when I have it delivered. based on how long it takes me to get through a bottle. And for me, it takes about 3 months. But again, I do it on auto replenish, so it does reduce the price a bit. Love the feel of this on my skin. Then I follow that up with moisturizer. Now, many people wouldn't use a heavy moisturizer in the morning because they live in more of a humid climate. If I didn't live in Bend, I likely wouldn't use this heavy moisturizer, but I do live in Bend and we do get really dry. So I use the same moisturizer in the morning as I do at night. And that is the one I've been using for years, La Mer's Crème de la Mer. Now, I did step away from this for a couple years in my early 40s just to see if I could, again, save more money and find just as strong and reputable of a product. For my skin, for the results that this moisturizer immediately gives my skin, I have not been able to find that. And I have shared on previous Ponderings posts and previous skincare posts the products I have tried. I continue to return to Crème de la Mer. Now, because it's expensive, I'm always searching to save. And I have started to shop for this moisturizer on e-cosmetics. And I can regularly get 25, sometimes 30% off. I haven't paid full price for a 2-ounce jar for over a year because I'm going through e-cosmetics or Derm Store, sometimes Blue Mercury. But always e-cosmetics, they have endless sales. They only last for a couple days, but then they have another one that comes up the next day. So just subscribe to their newsletter and you will be able to save a lot of money, almost $100 each time you purchase this. My skin immediately feels different when I don't use this for a day or two. And then I'll sometimes purchase when they go on sale. They'll have a travel pack one that comes with a large one for the same price of a large one by itself. And so I now have the small ones all prepped and ready in my travel tote, ready to go. So again, it is an investment, but it's a favorite for a reason. And I continue to return to it and have realized, that's the one that will work well with my skin. All right, so after I put my moisturizer on, so we've only gone 2 products in, right? We're on serum, moisturizer, and then year round, unless I know for sure I will always be inside, I put on my sunscreen. And it's a very lightweight sunscreen. I have tried a few over the years. I'm someone who was prone to breaking out. I had horrible skin in my teenage years, horrible. And it took me a while to figure out, the balance, the pH balance, and just what type of products to use. But if you're using the right products that don't clog your pores, it will make a difference. And I purchased now Elta MD's sunscreen with a 46 SPF, and it is lightweight as ever. They claim that it calms and protects the skin that is prone to acne and rosacea. I don't break out very much at all in my 40s. I will talk to you about how I've reduced it even more in a minute. But this has been even lighter than La Roche-Posay's facial moisturizer, which I love. And that one would be a good backup replacement. And I use that for years. But this one, to me, is even better. It's a little more expensive. I think it's about $34, maybe $40. But it will last me all summer in at least 6 months, at least if I'm using it every day. And then I also put it on my hands. Any extra I put on my hands. Okay, so that's it. In the morning, 3 products go on, and that is it after I've washed my face. And a gentle cleansing of my face. And the day has begun. Water bottles in tow. All right, my nighttime skincare routine is a little different, but it does have some of the same products. So let's walk through those. I recently shifted to using a cleansing balm instead of a soap or of any kind. And I used a soap for a long time, a gentle soap. But many readers of The Simply Luxurious Life spoke about the cleansing balms of Elemis. And I have to say, having come across one of their products by accident and falling in love with their quality, it's a skincare company based in London. I was wanting to try this cleansing balm. And I now have fallen in love with it. I've been using it for over 6 months. 9 months, 6 months. And it is exactly what it is. It's a balm. It's going to make your skin feel so silky soft. afterwards. As they describe it, it dissolves long wear makeup, daily grime, and surface pollutants, and deep cleanses and softens as a facial mask for petal soft skin. And that is no joke. Your skin will feel amazing because you're not leaving it on. That's what's amazing about it. You're actually not leaving it on. So you put it on dry skin, okay? And then you do that for about 2 minutes, and I close my eyes and I let it clean off my eye makeup too. They say not to do that, but I've been doing that forever since I use this product, so long as I keep my eyes closed. And then you add a little bit of water to your fingers, and then we'll rub it in even more so it gets a little more sudsy, and it's not really sudsy, it's just more movable. And then you wipe it off with a clean washcloth so it all comes off. And your face feels like silk. I mean, it's so soft. It feels amazing. And as I said, I'm conscientious of breakouts. I've never had a breakout with this. I've never had one blemish with this. It feels so good. Feels so good. Now, I still will have some residual mascara, usually around my eyes. So then I will take my micellar water on a cotton wipe and just wipe my eyes. But I don't wipe my whole face because I want that feel, that softness on my face. I use their Rose Cleansing Balm. Now, I want to talk really quickly about the label on this. So, Elemis writes on the label for the cleansing balm that it's Pro Collagen Rose Cleansing Balm. As one of the estheticians that I've worked with over the years was reminding me, no product can put collagen back in your skin. We'll talk about stimulating collagen renewal because that can happen, but this product doesn't have collagen in it. What their cleansing balm does contain is a trio of nourishing plant oils, elderberry, eptomega, and bee-friendly starflower oil. And it also includes algae-badina pavronica, which is all mineral oil free. But to the pro collagen claim, what it's basically doing, or essentially doing, is preventing unnecessary reduction of collagen from pollutants that your face will be exposed to throughout the day. So don't let that label deceive us. That's kind of a misleading claim. But what it does do is it seems to rehydrate and feel more nourished, and therefore it doesn't feel dry and itchy or scratchy. The key thing is it's removing those things that would take away moisture, that reduce the hyaluronic acid. As we talked about, pollutants can reduce that stored up amount of natural hyaluronic acid. So this is removing those things that would reduce that naturally in your skin that you want to keep. All right. And I get their 60-ounce cleansing balm, and it lasts me, oh my gosh. Currently, the one I purchased it back, I want to say in February, and it's still going strong. So, I mean, and it's only $60, $69 for their cleansing balm and 60 ounces, and it's already going strong. So it could almost last me 9-10 months. All right. And it smells wonderful. But there are a lot of different smells. They have 4 different smells. They have one that's neutral too, so it doesn't smell like anything at all. Okay, so as I mentioned, then I will clean my eye makeup off. Okay, because the balm kind of loosens up any makeup I have, mascara, and then the wipe with the micellar water takes it off. All right. Then, and not every time, it's usually every other night, so 3 to 4 times a week, I will use retinol serum. Now, we've talked a little bit about retinol in the episode that I just mentioned, or actually it was a post I just mentioned, and I will link it. It's titled An Investment Worth Making, Smart Skincare in My 40s. And just so we're clear about retinol, so it's a type of retinoid which is made from vitamin A. There are all sorts of different percentages to use, so do check the percentage of retinol, which we'll talk about in a second, on the product. So it's also important to note that even though it says it has retinol, the amounts and thus the effect on your skin will be different because of those amounts. More doesn't necessarily mean better. It could be more damaging. It really depends on your skin. So what does retinol do? So Healthline explains, quote, the small molecules that make up retinol go deep beneath the epidermis, so the outer layer of skin, to your dermis. Once in this middle layer of skin, retinol helps neutralize free radicals. This helps boost the production of elastin and collagen, which creates a plumping effect that can reduce the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and enlarged pores, end quote. And this helps reduce acne. So notice how this is going to help boost production, but it doesn't put collagen into your face. It increases the production of collagen and elastin, but it doesn't create or add more collagen to your face. A product can't. There's no product that you can put in that has collagen in it. But you can do things, we'll talk about another way in a second, that can re-stimulate collagen. So the reason you want to just do it for a couple, so every other night, or maybe just once a week, start off, depending on if you have never used it, is you want to see if the level of retinol, the percentage, is going to irritate your skin. The lowest dosage would be 0.03 to 0.01, obviously 0.01. And that might be where you want to start. And that would be a Shani Darden retinol. And I have used that, and it does work really nicely. But I wanted, and then I went and I tried one that was more highly concentrated. Woo! You don't want to go over 0.2, okay? So 0.2% is ideal for noticeable results, but it will potentially be very irritating depending on what your skin can handle. The product I use is at 0.06% retinol, okay? And I use Augusta Spader's retinol serum. And it lasts so long because I only use it every other day. And I put it on again before my moisturizer. And I put it on my décolletage, my neck, and my face. And it's just one little pump. The key here is that it will reduce uneven skin tone and texture, and it will improve the firmness of your skin. Just see how your skin responds. Because I'm only using it once every other day, my current supply of Augusta Spader's retinol serum is lasting me into 6 months right now. And again, you can get an auto replenish on that as well in many places. So that's definitely something that I'm keeping in my routine. Just little things that can re-stimulate your collagen, improve acne if you're younger or have acne that you are frustrated with. It takes time, but it really does make a difference. I did notice that when I started using retinol back when I was 40, that's when I first started using it, that my acne decreased immediately. Okay, so after I use the retinol, I will use my moisturizer that I mentioned earlier, Creme de la Mer. And then I add my eye cream. Now, I have gone around and around with a lot of different eye creams. I started way back in my 20s with Kiehl's eye cream, and it's a good eye cream. It has more water in it, though, than I would prefer now. And the price sometimes tells you that because you're paying for product. Always look at the product. Not always. Sometimes you're paying for a name. I know that. But look at the ingredients. A lot of beauty products contain a lot of water and thus make them less expensive. But I have gone around and tried a lot of different price points on eye creams. And again, you'll see those lists on my previous skincare posts. And what I have returned to and continue to love is La Mer's Eye Concentrate. It takes me at least 6 months to go through one of their jars. And again, I buy mine through eCosmetics, and I purchase it at a discount every single time. Save so much money. All right. And then I add some nourishing lip balm, and I've been loving Tatcha's lip balm, Tatcha. It comes in a little round bowl. It's about, I don't know, 1.5 inches in diameter, and it takes me, gosh, again, another 6, 7. No, actually, this last one took 8 months. 8 months to get through, and it's about, I want to say, $30. There are a lot of other higher price points for quality lip balm from Hermes and Sicily. And I'm sure those are great. I just don't want to fork out that much money for a lip balm at this point. This one's doing just fine, and I put it on throughout the day, but definitely at night before I go to bed. So that's the night routine. Again, evening routine has 2 more products than I have in the morning, and I luxuriate in them. I savor that. I wrap my silk headband around my hair to protect it, and then I just pamper myself, which is not a luxury, it's a necessity, and turn my humidifier on, have my water beside my bed, and a good book to read before I fall asleep. get a long, deep, restful night's sleep, and I wake up, and that is when I notice my skin has been well taken care of. When I have all those ingredients, in line, I've been, dedicatedly doing all of that. I see it in my skin the next day. When I haven't slept well, or I forgot to turn my humidifier on, or any of those things I forgot, I will notice it in my skin. And that's good too. Assess, be aware, take note. And this is how you just decide which products are working. It's like, oh, that one did make a difference, because when I didn't do it, this is what it looks like and feels like. And that's really been the process for me the last couple of years, when I've been trying to figure out, okay, exactly what products do I need? I'm not someone who follows a lot of beauty. I don't follow any beauty people on Instagram. I'm reading expert opinions. I'm talking to my esthetician. I regularly will tell her the products I'm using, and I will take her advice and understand why that product has this ingredient, so I know what it's doing for my skin. She's the one who taught me all about hyaluronic acid and the different levels of hyaluronic acid. That is so important to note. But this is where you kind of go through a science experiment, and it might take a year or two. But once you figure out the items that work best for your skin, that you can fit in your budget and find ways to find saving mechanisms like I've been sharing, this has been wonderful. I've been so pleased with the results. Now, I'm not done yet, and I still want to talk about my monthly and seasonal and yearly and bi-yearly procedures and products that I use that have made a tremendous difference in the radiance and the youthfulness of my skin, without adding anything that is not mine. As far as, I have not injected anything, I have not done anything like that. So I will be talking about that after I introduce you to today's sponsor. At Indeed, they're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. As someone who works with freelance contractors, finding someone who knows how to do what I need reliably well without having to go through a lot of different options eases my mind and saves time. And that's exactly what I go to Indeed for. They leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. As a Simple Sophisticate listener, you will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/simple. Just go to Indeed.com/simple right now and support this show by saying you heard about Indeed on the Simple Sophisticate podcast. Indeed.com/simple. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, welcome back. Let's dive right back into the weekly routines, and then we'll move on to the seasonal and yearly routines. So one thing that I learned by going to my esthetician, she's looking at my face, telling me what I need, and this was when I started using the cleansing balm, is she noticed, because what I had stopped doing at home is exfoliating. And so I quickly realized through her advice, Shannon, you need to still exfoliate, but not as often. Just do it once a week. Because you're not doing it with your cleanser. And so what I started to use was something that I picked up at her salon, is a peel treatment, actually. And it's from IS Clinical, and it's a 2-step wipe program. It's so simple, and it doesn't hurt at all. You simply wipe the first washcloth, essentially, but it's just a wipe onto your skin, clean skin. And you'll feel a little tingling, and you'll just let it stay on there for 3 minutes. Then you take the second wipe, and these come in very clear with first wipe, second wipe. They have the numbers on them. I have pictures on it on the show notes. You can take a look at it. The second wipe, you then wipe all over your skin where you applied the first, neck, décolletage, and you don't ever wipe that off. Like that just remains on your skin. And you'll notice your skin is immediately softer. It's a little bit red, but not too much. The first time you do it, it might be a little bit red for half the day, so just be prepared. What I do is I apply the first one when I go in the shower on the weekend or anytime I know I'm just going to kind of be hanging around the house for half a day. And then when I get out of the shower, then I will use the second wipe. But what this does is simply help exfoliate. Another way I exfoliate, if I'm not doing that, is I have some Eminence strawberry exfoliant that I then mix in with my facial wash, the Mercier soap, and I just cleanse that once a week at least. And I can feel it on my skin if I haven't done my exfoliation frequent enough. I can just kind of feel my skin coming off my face when I'm cleansing it or adding moisturizer. It's like, oh, Shannon, do your exfoliant. And that was the one thing she noticed that. By using the balm and not exfoliating, because I used to exfoliate every single day, and that was just unnecessary. But I do need to at least do it once a week. The clinical active peel treatment is about $90. You can get it just about any skincare online shop and potentially save money if they have discounts. And it will last you, because there's 15 of the pairs, so 30 of those in there, so 15 weeks worth if you do it once a week like I do. You definitely don't want to do this every day, not even every other day, just every 4 days, every 7 days, depending on your needs. And so that will last you 15 weeks worth. That will last you almost 4 months. Okay. All right. So that's what I do weekly. And then what I do monthly or seasonally, depending on budget, is and if I have the money, I want to do it monthly. Every time I'm able to do this monthly, my skin benefits immediately. I don't have problems with my skin. I correct anything before it goes wrong terribly. Is I go to my esthetician that I've been talking about. I've been going to her for now almost 7 years. And she now has her own business, her own spa, and she knows my skin well. And we will correct anything, hydrate as needed. She does something different every single time based on what I need. And like I said, I'll ask questions. I'll share my products. She'll tell me what things are. She'll tell me different brands to explore, because she doesn't have a lot of products at her shop. She does have a few, obviously, that she stands by, but only if they apply to my skin. And so I highly recommend, if you can invest in going to a facialist at least seasonally. I started going to my facialist seasonally back in my late 20s, early 30s, something I've talked about on this blog and podcast since the beginning. And I don't regret it once. It sounds like a luxury, but it's basically like going to a doctor for your skin. I know that's what a dermatologist is, but as far as you're getting information, you're also getting some self-care and correction right on the spot. And you're learning new skills and the better skills for your skin. And just start asking questions. Once I could afford every other month, I started going every other month. Once I could afford once a month, I started doing that. And I just not only look forward to it, it is such a self-care moment of decompression. I usually go on Fridays now, the end of the work week. It's such a great, comforting punctuation at the end of a particular week, whatever week that is in that month. But I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's not a luxury. It's not a dire necessity, but it's definitely one that if you're trying to figure out your skin and what it needs and what products to buy, so you buy the right products, start going to an esthetician. And I have mentioned that back in episode 383 as well. You may remember me saying that. Okay, which leads me to the last item I'm going to talk to you about, because my esthetician is the one who brought this to my attention. And so thus I trusted it. Otherwise, I know, because I was scared, I wouldn't have done this. But my esthetician back in January said, Shannon, you're taking really good care of your skin. At this point, there's nothing more we can do. You are 45 and you can keep hydrating and you can keep doing this, that, and the other. But the other things that I would do to re-stimulate collagen, to create a youthful look or retain that more youthful look while still looking natural are two different things. Lasers, with regards to the laser lights and the various LED lights, those masks, and laser resurfacing, and by which she talked about the various ones that are available. The first one that was available way back when is called Fraxel, and then the child of Fraxel, which means that it's less intense, less invasive, is Clear and Brilliant. And so she recommended two different places in Bend to consider, and I went to one that had an opportunity for a consultation for free, and they assessed my skin. They had all the different options available: Fraxel, Clear and Brilliant, and needling, laser needling or micro needling. And they suggested Clear and Brilliant. And often these places for introductory clients or different times of the year, there'll be introductory rates, so prices. So they do want you to experience it and see the benefits, because you will see benefits if you receive the right procedure. And I say procedure, but they're not injecting anything at all. Although these places do the Botox and whatnot. I didn't do that, didn't do any of the fillers or anything like that. So Clear and Brilliant, let me just explain to you what that is a little bit. So again, it's the child of Fraxel. Fraxel goes a lot deeper into the dermis than Clear and Brilliant. So what it's doing is it creates hundreds of thousands of microscopic treatment zones in the upper layers of your skin. And you can do this on your neck and chest as well as your face. And it replaces damaged skin with healthy looking tissue and yields younger looking skin, because here's back to our conversation at the beginning about collagen. It's re-stimulating collagen. By the time we hit 25, mid-20s, our collagen is already starting to slowly decrease. But this is the good news. It can be naturally re-stimulated to be reproduced without negative effects, but in fact, positive effects. And I was a little skeptical. I was like, there's no way. I mean, I didn't feel like I had horrible, non-youthful skin, but I was noticing there's some wrinkles, there's some da-da-da-da. Because as I mentioned, I've been taking care of my skin as well as I possibly could for as long as I possibly have been able to. And so I was like, I don't know. Anyway, so Clear and Brilliant, it takes about, you spend 15 to 20 minutes waiting for your skin to feel numb, because I'll put a topical numbing cream on. Just basically feels like a balm all over your skin. And it really is numbing your skin so that you don't feel a thing. And you won't feel a thing except for like little pinpricks. And it is little like needles really, really lightly like tickling your skin. And you do want to wait until it's completely numb. Do not rush this process. You will feel them running the laser over your skin, and they will be able to see exactly where they've gone, because your face will start to turn red. And that'll take about 30 to 45 minutes. You can, as I mentioned, to your neck and your décolletage as well, which I did do this first time just to see. And then it takes about 3 days for that redness to subside, because ultimately what it's doing is pulling out the pigmentation, and you also see little light brown, it feels like dead skin, pigmentation's coming out of your skin. The more often you do this, and I don't mean like you're going to do this regularly, like all the time, but the first time you do it, you might do it 3 sessions, and you do them about a month apart. Sometimes you can do it within 2 weeks apart. It's really up to you, 14 days or 30 days. The second session, I didn't notice as much brown pigmentation coming out. The biggest amount of pigmentation coming out of my skin, and it's really, really subtle. You won't see it from a distance. You'll just feel it. You'll be like, oh, there's something. Oh, it's brown. It'll slough off. Don't worry. But you're going to be red, visibly red, for at least 3 days. If you are wearing heavy makeup, which I don't think many of us probably do anymore, but if you do, you can easily cover that up if you have to go to work. Thankfully, I was able to stay home, and I did try to schedule it, so I was going to be staying home for 2 days. I remember being out in my garden on the second day. You're not supposed to be outside either. You're supposed to make sure you stay inside, or at least cover yourself with a hat, glasses, and obviously sunscreen. But I was out one morning, had my hat on and everything, but I didn't do anything to my face. And my neighbor kind of looked at me like, okay, what's going on? So I had to explain to her. Um, anyway, so you do that. And then after 3 days, it's going to start to look like your normal radiant skin. And this is what happened for mine, which I loved. I lost a little of the redness in my cheeks, which I've always had. I have less of that now. And I did after, because it basically continues to plump and cause collagen to be produced for 6 months after Clear and Brilliant. So this is still, all the goodness is still happening for 6 months after. So peak results are 6 months after your last session if you do it in a 3-spot session. And I did notice a lifting a little bit of my jowl. Not that I had a lot of anything going on there, but a little bit from the pictures. And I definitely noticed less redness in my cheeks and a tightening of my forehead, and a slight reduction of the lines. And I didn't have a lot of lines on the side of my eyes, but I did see a reduction in that. And I definitely noticed in my chest too, reduction in lines in my chest that was starting to accrue. Because I used to wear a lot of V-necks, always with sunscreen, but you always have those times when you forget. But I did notice that on my chest that I had a reduction of lines there. What I also noticed is an improvement in blemishes, which I didn't, as I mentioned, I've had fewer and fewer breakouts as I've gotten older and more knowledgeable of my products. But especially after doing Clear and Brilliant, it really cleaned up that as well. And I know I'm going on and on about this. Quickly, I'll explain. My neighbor, she's a couple years younger than me, in her early 40s, and she was raving about the microneedling. Very similar procedure, less invasive, and the downtime is just one day. Like, as far as you're just going to have a red face for one day, and then you'll be done. That was what she told me. But she has beautiful skin. Has never really worn makeup at all. She said throughout most of her life she likes the natural look. She looks like she's in her 30s. Gorgeous, gorgeous skin. She's a redhead. She's got gorgeous skin. And she swears by microneedling. So Fraxel is really for deeply damaged skin, scarring. And Clear and Brilliant is done by people in their 30s, some even in their 20s, as a preventative anti-aging method to keep the collagen stimulated. First, start with that consultation. It's a bit of an investment, but again, I don't find myself, I've never worn a lot of makeup, and I wear even less of it now. And I feel like myself. I was really impressed by it. It was worth the investment, absolutely worth the investment. And now what I'm going to do is either once a year or every 18 months, go back in for one treatment. So I did the 3-pack right up front to really get it going. And they even recommended 6. I was like, no, I'm just doing 3 because my skin was in good condition. But I'm going to do one every year or 18 months. And just to keep stimulating that collagen. And then I'll just plan a couple days where I don't go too far or go anywhere. A lot of people do this after summer. Oftentimes you won't see anybody doing it during the summer because it's really hard to stay out of the sun. You have to stay out of the sun because your skin is damaged and it can't protect itself. And you don't want to expose it to any sun. So you'll often see people doing this in the winter, after summer. Anyway, I did it in spring. So I had thankfully a lot of rainy days during that time. But towards the end it was in June, I had to really stay out of the sun and stay inside. So you just have to time it out thoughtfully. And I'm sharing this information directly from the Clear and Brilliant website, and it will also direct you to a provider in your area so you can then seek out a consultation. Again, that's called Clear and Brilliant Laser. It's considered a laser resurfacing method. Okay. All right. I think I said this back in episode 383 when I briefly talked about Clear and Brilliant then. If you have any questions about my experience that I didn't answer, please feel free to reach out to me. I tried to share everything I could remember. Your face will feel hot right afterwards, and they give you ice packs as you go home. Don't worry, it's not like a facelift or anything. It's not like that, but it just feels hot. It isn't, because it's slightly swollen, but it just feels hot, and so they'll give you ice packs. That will subside after an hour or two. It'll go away, and it won't feel hot the rest of the time at all. You'll just look red. You'll look like you had a horrible sunburn for about 3 days. So like I said, just stay home, relax, do the work at home that you can, or put on heavier makeup than you typically probably would, and you'll be fine in 2 days or 3 days' time. but I really think you'll notice an amazing difference. And my esthetician did say she did a lesser invasive one, and she didn't notice a lot of difference. I'm glad I went to Clear and Brilliant and just bit the bullet and did it, because I did notice an improvement in what I had seen for 2 years, and been like, okay, this is changing. Oh, that's changing, and I can't get a cream to do anything more than what it's already doing. And that was her point, my esthetician's point. You have been doing the best you possibly can with the creams and serums that are available. There's really nothing more you can do except for stimulate more collagen. Okay, so that is it. That's the list of my skincare at 45. That is as simple as I could make it for the needs that I wanted, and that also provides the best results for what I'm investing in. If you have any questions, sincerely reach out to me, email me, or comment on this post to the show notes, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast390, and I will happily share. Again, it really is you getting to know your skin, asking questions of experts you trust, and paying attention closely to what those results are and if they're doing what you want, because everyone's skin's going to be different. I don't presume that these products are going to be the ones you pick up, but you can at least know what the experience has been for me and why I stick to them or have returned to them. All right. You can visit the list of all those products, as I just mentioned, on the show notes, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast390. And I'll be right back with this week's Petit Plaisir. So this episode's Petit Plaisir is a film that just premiered on Netflix that was actually included in last Friday's This and That. And it's titled Lonely Planet. I have a feeling some of you have already watched it. It ranked as the #1 film on Netflix over the weekend. However, critics do not like it. But I always like to look at the actual review and not just the number to see what they're saying. Is there a common refrain? Is there a particular thing that they're all noticing? And what I found is, well, there were some, yeah, okay, I get it. There were others where I'm like, okay, you didn't get it. And here's why. So it stars Lauren Dern, Oscar Academy Award winner Lauren Dern, and Liam Hemsworth in this May-December romance relationship. And it's set in Morocco. Most of the filming takes place in Marrakesh, and it's set at a beautiful boutique hotel, luxurious accommodations, which is actually, the actual name of the hotel is Kasbah Bab Aurika Boutique Hotel. Aurika Boutique Hotel. So if you want to look up where it actually is and what it looks like if you haven't seen the film, it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And Laura Dern is a recently divorced, famous, well-known writer who's in her 50s, having been well-known as a writer since her early 20s. And Liam Hemsworth's character is a financier, or someone who works in the hedge fund world and has a successful job in that. He is not a writer. He is at this writer's retreat, though, with his girlfriend, Lily, who is in her 20s, who just had a breakout romance novel that just did really, really well. And so she was invited. Okay, so why I like it. #1, you have a very secure female lead. This will not surprise anyone as to being a common theme as of late in films. We've been seeing a lot of these, which is bravo. We're seeing strong female leads that are not in their just 20s and 30s. They're in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. And I would really, really applaud them for doing this. And I adore Laura Dern, so I was eager to watch her in this film. And then you have a young gentleman, who's in his mid-30s. So he's with someone who's 10 years younger than him, and he ends up being interested in a woman who's 20 years older than him. And he's not in the writing occupation. He was an athlete in college and high school, a successful athlete from what they depict. And a lot of this, there are tropes, but at the same time, I think a lot of what the reviewers were pointing out is they were bored. They didn't feel that there was chemistry, and I disagree. What I saw was a non-dramatic, very much aware two individuals, around other people who were less aware of their pitfalls or their weaknesses or their lack of ability to notice certain things that were causing problems in their life. At the same time, they had very successful lives in various other ventures. And so you have a woman who's very successful, struggling with this deadline to finish her next novel, and also having just gone through a divorce that basically her husband told her, you're not fun to be around when you're writing a book, which is all the time, because she's writing a book all the time. So she didn't necessarily have a lot of support at home for what she did, but she loved doing it. I think that's part of why I really fell in love with her character, is she genuinely loves what she's doing. She doesn't necessarily like the stress of the deadline, but she wouldn't want to do anything else at all. And the struggle is real, but the struggle is worth it. And then you have a young man, and I say young, but he's not young. He's in his mid-30s, who's with a woman who did very, very well in her writing and is getting the attention for the first time that she's never had before. And you start to see who she really is finally at this writing conference. And it's beneficial for their relationship to see who she really is, because it's clear they're not a match that would go the distance. And they see it too. But there is a moment that one critic misunderstood, and I don't know why he misunderstood it, but he did. It was, I think it was the New York Times. And there's a scene where the lack of awareness on the young girlfriend's part demonstrates her naivete and her lack of awareness about the discomfort her boyfriend is experiencing in an environment of people who are in a different world than he is. He's not in the writing world. He wasn't someone who read the classics or enjoyed, if he had to, reading the classics. But he's clearly smart enough to negotiate deals. And I'm not saying that they're equal or better or different. I'm just saying he's not a dope. And she indirectly, but very directly in many ways, insults him in front of the whole community of writers. And she never thinks or observes or believes that that was an insult, calling it a joke. She then goes on to talk about how she thinks that he feels threatened by her success, when if you're paying attention to the plot line, it's not her success that he's upset about. It's her treatment of him since the success has arrived on her shoulders, without the awareness and the appreciation of his support of her at this writing conference. And they do a helpful job of making sure the meet cutes seem very plausible for Laura Dern and Liam's character. And it's clear that he's not afraid of a successful woman, because he starts and he knows Laura Dern's character is uber successful. And it's not him pursuing her for money, because he's clearly very financially successful. So that dispels any accusation of the girlfriend saying that he is threatened by her success, because he's not of Laura Dern's. And I kind of poo-pooed the critique of there not being chemistry between these two, because it wasn't this emotional, over the top sexual connection. It was gradual and respectful and aware. And I have to say, I appreciated it. There's something to be said for subtlety. There's something to be said for not being so carried away with your emotions that you're not thinking straight. And each time they were, there's a moment where they make it very clear he is drunk, and he, as a character, says he's drunk. And one reviewer called him letting his ego get in the way, when Laura Dern's character called him a kid. Gently so, but she did call him a kid, which is the reality. He's 20 years younger than her. Granted, he's an adult, and it would have stung probably a little bit, but the fact that he's drunk, therefore he wasn't able to regulate his response, and it was him walking away. So they make it clear the circumstances that caused him to walk away. I'm not saying this film is a 5 out of 5. I definitely think it's like a 3.5 out of 5. But what is appreciative is that you have two people who are reluctant in certain aspects of their life but are at the same time curious enough to explore a lot of life on their own without moping. And I didn't feel either or any of them were moping. I felt like they embraced the situation as it was and gradually started to look for glimmers of light and start to trust each other. Again, you have to want to see it, to see a secure woman, to see a man who doesn't want to be humiliated, but at the same time shows up at a retreat where he knows nothing to support his girlfriend. To me, that shows humility as well. And I felt like this was drawing on some aspects of real life people that are dismissed. We don't have to over sensationalize everything. The reality was his girlfriend is in her 20s. She should be living it up at this writers' conference. She should be celebrating her success, but she shouldn't forget about her boyfriend and what he had sacrificed or was willing to do, and then poo-poo him for being made to be a fool, feel a fool in front of her people. That was rude and hurtful, but it was also a showing of her age. You know, it's not something to dismiss, but it's something that's probably more likely than not to happen. Again, I think the age component comes into play on both ends of the spectrum with how the characters are presented. And I felt very fair. Now, someone went off about how Laura Dern's character didn't back up her book. I think they said, yeah, right, she didn't back up her book. We have to remember she didn't have Wi-Fi service where she was writing her book. She just had a laptop. We don't know that she was able to ever get a connection to back it up what she was writing while she was in Marrakesh. I'm sure she backed it up before she got there, but she didn't have anything really when she got to Marrakesh. So I do think it's plausible she wasn't able to back up what she had created while she was at Marrakesh, because he couldn't even get service unless he was on the roof of the hotel. So she never went on the hotel. So I don't know if she had any Wi-Fi service at all, but she was able to have her Word document up and type away. So I do think that is plausible, and we can't dismiss that. And I do think her frustration and her pain when she loses her manuscript is real, because that's her livelihood. That's a lot of time, effort, and tears, and creativity doesn't just plop in our lap when we ask for it, as she knows. So I think a lot of the reviews didn't give it due justice. Is it super sensationalized? No. Is it steady? Yeah, it is. Both characters are very likable. I think they did have chemistry. I think they were two mature adults who stepped into an opportunity where they felt something. They also didn't cling, but they were honest about their feelings. And I thought that was brave. So viewers really liked it. As I said, it was number 1 on Netflix. And it was steady. It was steady. It was written by Susanna Grant. And if you know who Susanna Grant is, you know that she has written a handful of films that are well recognized. Erin Brockovich, Ever After, 28 Days with Sandra Bullock, Pocahontas, and she received an Oscar nomination for her writing for Erin Brockovich. This is a woman who knows how to write a screenplay. So I think there's a lot. She's 61 now. She's a writer. She's been married for a long time, but I think there is probably some of her life experience and awareness of the writing career at the same time. And I think that's what's beautiful. You have someone like Laura Dern's character who's in her 50s, and one like Lily who's just getting started. So I have a feeling Susanna Grant knows the journey of a writer as a young writer and as one who's been in the business for a long time, and what it can awaken in you, what she's seen with regards to how it affects writers when they become successful overnight like Lily did. So I think keeping all that in mind. All right. So the film is Lonely Planet. It is on Netflix now, starring Laura Dern and Liam Hemsworth, and some fantastic interviews with them with regards to how they felt comfortable in each other's company. There was a lot of scenes at the markets in Marrakesh, and the cameras had to be quite a ways away from them. And so you can even tell the people around them, some of them didn't really know what was happening. So they were like, what? But the two main characters basically were saying how they felt like it was just them two, and not on set, not filming. And so that was really just kind of more relaxed and personable in those moments where the camera wasn't in their face, but at a great distance to catch them and the scene more more authentically. So again, find the film on Netflix, Lonely Planet. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Petit Plaisir, where each episode, ideas are shared to make the everyday all the more enjoyable. Tune in at the end of each episode where I'll recommend a book, a film, a show, a recipe, anything that is a simple pleasure to satiate your sophisticated taste. Now you can find the show notes for this entire episode on the Simply Luxurious Life blog. Go to thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 390. And for all you cooks out there or want to be cooks who want to enjoy being in the kitchen, making simple dishes that are delicious, the cooking show, the Simply Luxurious Kitchen Cooking Show, is currently in the middle of its 7th season. And in fact, the final episode airs this Saturday. And we are making a delicious French dessert that involves chocolate and almonds and looks super, super fancy. We're going to use those rubber domes that make everything look super professional, they do. The rubber domes do the work, which makes your presentation look fantastic. And what a delicious treat it is. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make. I just remade it again just for fun, for an opportunity to save some of these in my freezer for guests that are coming in a few weeks. We are making a chocolate almond pave. And if you haven't already checked out the previous episodes, be sure to check those out. We've been making classic French dishes elevated a notch with simple flavor additions. And you can find all those episodes, the recipes and the videos on the Simply Luxurious Life blog. And before I forget, our next episode isn't going to be until the 6th of November. And before then, the Simply Luxurious Life's annual holiday shopping guide will be posted. I'll be posting that on the 3rd of November. And it'll be full of French and British finds for your stocking stuffers, for those special gifts, all sorts of goodies to explore. So be sure to stop by the blog and shop the annual shopping guide on Sunday, November 3rd. Until then, I'll be on the blog. Stop by and discover all that we're up to each week. We have our regular postings, and I'm so grateful you tuned in. Wishing you a wonderful rest of October and rest of your day. Bonne journée. Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, visit the blog, The Simply Luxurious Life, with the shortened URL tsll.co or thesimplyluxuriouslife.com. For more in-depth exploration of how to cultivate your own unique, simply luxurious life, pick up my new book, which became both a bestseller and #1 new release in France Travel, The Road to Le Papillon, Daily Meditations on True Contentment. Available in all 4 formats for your preferred reading or listening. My first book, titled Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, and my second book, Living the Simply Luxurious Life, are also available in each of the 4 formats. Readers can now join the more intimate The Simply Luxurious Life international community by becoming members of the blog, which offers the benefits of ad-free reading site-wide, unlimited access and exclusive access to content on the blog, such as the monthly A Couple Moments with Shannon video chat, tours of my home Le Papillon, the monthly What Made Me Smile post, and monthly Ponderings post, as well as the exclusive opportunity to enter all of the giveaways during the annual French and British weeks. To stay caught up on all things Simply Luxurious, the podcast, blog post, the cooking show, and receive exclusive news, as well as an extra dose of inspiration to jumpstart each new month, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's free monthly newsletter, arriving on the last day of each month in your inbox. There is also a weekly newsletter, which is also free, and arrives each Friday to keep you caught up on the recent weekly posts on the blog. Enjoy with a hot cuppa or cup of morning coffee, and stay in the know about all things simply luxurious. Look for 2 new episodes of this podcast on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of each month. And until next time, I'm your host, Shannon Abels. Thank you for tuning in. Bonne journée.